Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, Sawubona, Dumelang, Goeiemorgen. I'm Professor Christo Botha of the Department of Paraclinical Sciences. Thank you for viewing this virtual oath-taking ceremony of the Faculty of Veterinary Science. I was wondering how the new graduates and diplomats will reflect on 2020. Although quoting it out of context, I thought of the phrase in a novel written by Charles Dickens. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. It was the worst of times due to the global COVID-19 pandemic and lockdown regulations. But to the class of 2020, it will be regarded as the best of times. It was the year that you have qualified. Furthermore, it was the centenary year of the Faculty of Veterinary Science. I would like to congratulate the graduates and diplomats on their perseverance. During very difficult and trying times in 2020, you completed your clinic rotations and passed the examinations. However, besides the difficulties last year, this is the culmination of years of hard work. Well done. Without further ado, I would like to call on our Dean, Professor Vinnie Naidu, to extend an official welcome.
A very warm welcome to our veterinary and para-veterinary classes of 2020 in this special online oath-taking ceremony. A warm welcome to parents, spouses, family members, significant others, and VIP guests who may be either watching live today or as a recorded event at a later time. We've gathered online today to celebrate the major achievement of our graduates as they get ready to enter into their chosen profession. Despite the live event having to be cancelled, today nonetheless remains a day on which we, staff, friends and family can smile and say that we are proud of what has been achieved and celebrate in their success in reaching a major goal. And their success was no accident. It has taken lots of hard work, sacrifices, and at times dealing with failure and definitely lots of challenges. And of course, being vets and nurses, there are probably also scratches, kicks, bites, and for the really unlucky few, poorly aimed anal glands also thrown into the mix. But more than anything, their success is undoubtedly linked to a love of what they're doing, and more importantly, in what they will be doing for the rest of their professional careers. And I don't think any profession can profess that they love what they do as much as the veterinary profession, where you can choose to work as you please, be it in the field in the sun, to nice, comfortable, air-conditioned theatres. To the class of 2020, I congratulate you on your achievement. To loved ones, I also take this opportunity to thank you for your tireless effort, dedication and sacrifices that you have made to get the class of 2020 to the end, under what can be best described as a very trying year. For those together around the screen with loved ones today, I would suggest that our graduates give you a big hug of thanks for allowing them to achieve their dreams. Like many before you, you may have a feeling of great relief that you've come to the end of your long academic journeys in becoming veterinarians and veterinary nurses. And rightfully, you should be proud. But this is not the reason we celebrate today. Today we are here to commemorate your entrance into our profession through the pledge that you will be making. At this stage, you may be wondering why we place such pomp and ceremony into the taking of an oath, especially when we also have a graduation ceremony later this year. To understand the reasoning, we need to consider what our profession stands for. The veterinary profession is an honourable profession that traces its root back to Claude Bourgelat, who in 1761 established the first veterinary school in Lyon, France. At that point in the history of France, he saw the tremendous need to help the national flock by combating the problems created by rinderpest, all with the aim of bettering the French nation. This subsequently set into motion a process of training of veterinarians in many countries. And this is no different to how our faculty came into being. Tyler, our first dean, came to South Africa at a time when the country was rife with diseases and there was dire need of local expertise in veterinary science. A time when veterinary diseases that we now take for granted, such as heartwater, botulism, horse sickness, and even blue tongue, were poorly understood and were having a devastating effect on farms. While it took many years for the funding to be secured, our veterinary faculty was eventually established in 1920 with the sole aim of training local veterinarians who could tackle local diseases. Through the efforts of the veterinary professionals trained through our faculty, South Africa has seen many veterinary diseases eliminated or restricted to limited geographical areas in the country. Just imagine what a different country will be if there was no control of sleeping sickness or malaria. 100 years later, the veterinary profession still plays an extremely important role in the protection of the national herd, in the management of companion animals, and the betterment of the lives of people. However, considering the massive strides made in animal care in just the last 100 years, it becomes rather evident how quickly the science defining the veterinary profession is changing and advancing. Just imagine the changes ahead of us as we embrace the fourth industrial revolution, especially at a time in which every diagnosis is open to scrutiny from informed owners who have studied the animal clinical science before coming in. So, despite your training and undersport being of world-class standard as seen by our undergraduate programs that are some of the best in the world through a training program supported by caseloads far superior to many other schools in the world, by our veterinary and numerous specialist programs that are internationally accredited to allow our graduates to practice abroad, and through the teaching of a syllabus and facilitation of research that is not only relevant to the country, but also to the rest of the world, as evident by our global subject rankings where we place as a top 50 veterinary school. Your professional oath today is an attestation to an ideal that we would ask you as an incoming member of this profession to subscribe to. You are here today to make a promise to yourself, to the country, and most important, to other members of our profession that you will at all times do the best you can for your patient by upholding the standards of practice set by the South African Veterinary Council, a body made up of your peers nominated by our profession to set these standards. That you understand that however relevant and up-to-date your training is on this day, standards and practices in science are always evolving, and that you undertake to keep yourself up-to-date through continued professional development to ensure that your patient is never placed at a disadvantage. That as a profession, you'll always take the needs of the country into consideration with regards to whatever you do. Diseases know no boundaries, recognize no owners, nor do they follow any administrative systems. As such, you agree that at all times you will also consider the impacts of your actions on the country beyond that of the needs of a particular client or particular farm. And most important, by being a member of a profession, you undertake to follow an honor code where you accept that one should do the right thing, purely because it's the right thing to do. After you take your oath today, you will be entering into an exciting new world, a world filled with great opportunities and at times new risks. But don't be afraid to make tough decisions. Trust in your education and your skills, and know that you are going to make a difference. If you do find yourself in a situation in which you feel uncertain, don't be afraid to ask for assistance. No one knows everything, and I can guarantee that every member of the profession has been in a similar difficult situation. Find a mentor you trust and allow their experience to guide your professional development. Don't be arrogant, and accept that experience brings far more wisdom than any degree. And don't forget that the veterinary profession only exists due to the communities we serve. When one looks at the country as a whole, South Africa is defined by a vast difference in socioeconomics in our different communities. Nonetheless, all these communities are defined by one common factor besides being South African. They are all reliant on animals, whether they be pets, farm animals, or pleasure animals. So as you move forward with your careers, you can be assured that your chosen profession is very important to the country. Whatever you do to help ensure animal welfare and well-being will result in a positive difference in the lives of the average South African. To place this into perspective, when you help small-scale farmers, you're not only helping them, but you are developing their communities around animal-based trade. You're not just vaccinating a cat, but you're protecting a child from rabies. And you're not just sterilizing a dog, but minimizing traumatic bites that can result from interaction with stray animals. And the one thing we have learned from COVID is the importance of the One Health concept in the management of disease. For years, the veterinary profession and the OIE have been telling the world that the next pandemic will jump species. This was taken for granted and is evident in how poorly we continue to interact with our environment, all to the detriment of the world. So as you move forward in your careers, don't forget that the veterinary professional has a tremendously important role to play in disease mitigation. As such, don't be afraid to get involved in activities that address health in a more holistic approach. And perhaps you should consider studying further. The more advanced skills we as a country can develop, the better place we'll be to manage the next pandemic. Finally, as you enter into the profession today, know that you can truly establish yourself as a leader, and even a small action on your part can have a massive knock-on effect in a community. Let me end by once again congratulating you on this major achievement and welcome you to the profession. Thank you. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Dr. Alfred Kazi, President of the South African Veterinary Council. Many of you will know Dr. Kazi as a lecturer, but today he will address you as the President of the Council. As you move forward in your profession, the Veterinary Council will become a very important part of your life. And Dr. Kasi will be sharing a very important message with today. Welcome, Dr. Kasi.
Thank you very much, Prof. Naidu, for the introduction. I would like to take this opportunity to greet and acknowledge the following persons, the Vice Chancellor and Principal of the University of Pretoria, Professor Tawana Kupe, and further greet the Dean himself, the Dean of the Faculty of Veterinary Science at the University of Pretoria, Professor Vinasan Naidu, and also pass my greetings again to all members of senior management of the University of Pretoria. But in particular today, I would like to extend my warm greetings to our students who are taking an oath today. To our students, the South African Veterinary Council would like to congratulate you on this special and solemn ceremony of oath-taking. The SAVC recognizes that it has been a long journey of hard work, dedication, sacrifice to get to this milestone in your study life. It therefore gives me great pleasure and pride to be talking to you during this occasion. Oath-taking ceremonies in general can sometimes mean different things to different people. Some might perceive them as a tradition or a ritual that needs to be done with, and once done, life carries on. But unfortunately, that view is perhaps too self-serving and self-limiting. Generally, most oath-taking phrases come as words like or sentences like I promise, I intend, I commit to, which implies that the real significance of oath-taking is beyond today. It is beyond an occasion, it is beyond the pomp and ceremony. It is therefore about what is coming ahead of us. It is about a journey that is ahead. That's what I would like us to talk about today. So dear students, there's no question that you will be joining a very noble and honorable profession. The veterinary professions remain one of the niche and specialized fields of modern times. The veterinary professions play an important role that cuts across and interfaces between animal health, human health, the environment, society, and food production. And so, without any fear of contradiction, I can boldly say today that there aren't many professions in our times that can operate within this very complex matrix. The purpose of our profession is to serve animals and mankind. And I've said it in the past that at the heart of any service lies humility and willingness to listen and engage. Most professionals nowadays get caught up in being opinion leaders than opinion listeners. If we can listen more, we can provide appropriate solutions. If we can listen more, we can become relevant. The survival of our profession hinges on us being relevant to what society actually needs. And I would like to borrow a quote from a well-known philosopher, Albert Schweitzer, who is also a Nobel Prize laureate, who said, and I would say open quote, "I don't know what your destiny will be, but one thing I do know. The only ones among you who will really be happy are those that find how to serve," close quote. So dear students, it means that your joy comes actually from serving, because I believe the greater purpose of mankind is to serve one another for greater good. The reality is that in South Africa, access and equitable distribution of veterinary services in South Africa remains a massive challenge. Most communities in far-flung rural areas have not met or even come into contact with a veterinary professional in their lives. Veterinary professionals play a very important role in advising rural households on best methods of raising their livestock, keeping their livestock free of the devastating impact of animal diseases, and ultimately ensuring that those communities can have a livelihood out of those animals. Therefore, veterinarians and paraveterinarians continue playing an important role in food production and food security for the benefit of society. Food safety is also a growing concern worldwide that requires the expertise and the know-how of the veterinary professions. I therefore implore you to work as part of a veterinary health team made of all members of the veterinary profession. And I must emphasize categorically, No single profession is important over the other. Veterinarians, veterinary nurses, animal health technicians, vet technologists, laboratory animal technologists, vet physiotherapists must all work together with mutual respect for one another to deliver a comprehensive service that this country needs so desperately. The current COVID-19 pandemic that the world is faced with requires not only the expertise of human medical professionals to deal with it, but also requires veterinary professionals too. Veterinary professionals with their knowledge and experience in dealing with large-scale epidemics in animals should be roped in to assist in a much greater role than what is happening right now. You can ask again, where does the word herd immunity come from? This issue involving veterinary profession has also been raised quite vociferously and recently in the media space by one of our leading veterinary academics. And we applaud him and the others for adding their voice to the cause. In fact, the SAVC, together with other veterinary bodies, are engaging the minister to highlight the role of the veterinary professions in the COVID-19 response. On a positive note, I'd like to say that the profession has remained resilient. Our veterinarians and nurses have continued to do great work amidst the challenges of COVID-19. There are big strides in adoption of modern technologies amongst veterinarians, in which they are improving diagnosis of animal diseases and improving overall efficiency of their practices. At the faculty, we have positively observed a growing number of female students pursuing the veterinary profession. This shows a rapidly changing landscape in terms of diversity and representativity within the profession. The issue of increasing racial diversity within the profession also has to be tackled head-on. The compulsory community service year ahead provides vet students, graduates with a great opportunity to learn more and also be aware of the harsh realities that our communities are faced with out there. Therefore, in conclusion, the SAVC would like to wish you well and congratulate you once again on the oath-taking ceremony. Ten einde, wil ek sê, alles van die beste. I wish you well, ke le lakaletsa masego. Be blessed, stay safe, I thank you.
I would like to thank Dr. Ghazi for his message. Please remember the important role that the South African Veterinary Council plays in setting and maintaining standards of professional conduct. You have also received messages from our professional associations. They will now appear on screen. I would like to introduce our Deputy Dean responsible for teaching and learning, Professor Dietmar Holm. Professor Holm will lead the new graduates and diplomats with the oath taking.
All graduates and diplomats, please declare with me. I herewith solemnly declare that I will practice my profession with honesty and integrity, maintain and uphold high professional and scientific standards, treat my patients to the best of my knowledge and ability, and never intentionally cause them harm. Use my professional knowledge, skills and resources to protect and promote the health and welfare of animals and humans, continue to improve my professional knowledge, and strive to further the status and image of the profession.
Thank you, Professor Holm. It is an honor and a privilege to introduce Dr. Johan Steil. Dr. Steil received the Lecturer of the Year award in 2019 as adjudicated by the student body. He will introduce the candidates and announce the prize winners.
I'm now going to announce the OPVSC Honorary and Service Awards for 2020. The Honorary Award goes to Rian Crawford. The Service Awards go to Yakutron and Sarah Olivia Nunn. Now for the Sister of the Year 2019-20, sponsored by VNASA, Sister Tamarin Fisher. Next, the Clinician of the Year for the year 2019-20, sponsored by HEALS, Dr. Liesel van der Merwe. The candidates for the Diploma in Veterinary Nursing are Anne Koetser, Sanukuhle Dladla, Elisma de Toy, Tebogo Kabinde, Komotso Malapane, Haisibe Makapu, Dintle Matreka, Zamukukle Nsebi, Duane Hubert. So the BVSC graduates for this year is Laura Atkinson, Jody Bailey, Marianka Barnard, Jana Basson, Mzwanele Bekayeke, Obadiah Bentley, Rulof Berg, Lindsay Biggs, Elisna Bosch, Pieter Botes, Marinette Botma, Nadia Brits, Vladia Bongerno, Odette Burger, Matthew Bergerhoff, Nelia Buys, Roden Keipel, with distinction, Simone Carrington, Kutso Chiluani, Annelie Koetser, Rian Crawford, Sinead Creswell, Johan de Jong, Jainen de Welzem, Annika de Wit, Johannes Degenaar, Samantha Di Domenico, Bronwyn Drake, Brett de Pree, Andre Els, Natalia Ferreira, Silag Foster, Marcel Fourie, Werner Gericke, Megan Gibbs with distinction, Celise Gomez, Jessica Goodhead, Nicolien Greiling, Tienes Griesel, Diana Hansrash, James Herzog, Josanne Holiday, Sumari Hogenboezem, Heidi Horrell, Kirsten Houston, Sanawu Jack, Angelique Jacobs with distinction, Magdalena Janash, Aninka Jordan, Jordan Joselevich, Ramoni Hubert, Janine Jugdawu, Lee Caruz with distinction, Elsa Colver, Kamel Krishnalal, Anine Labeskagni, Margot Laxton, Egan Lee, Stephanie Lee Shu with distinction, Keegan Loader, Elizabeth Lombard, Marlier Lawrence, Kuketsu Makubedu, Vinolia Makua, Mariska Malan, Shanae Mans, Mateo Masia, Sam Matebula, Vicky McGee, Antje Men, Luke Michaelidis, Kenya Lee Miller, Tyler Mitchison with distinction, Sibonga Konke Mgambi, Olebugeng Mugabe, Megan Moodley, Zinel Moodley, Mohammed Mullah, Rushka Naidu, Bianca Naidu with distinction, Rudolf Nell, Johannes Nell, Elani Nell with distinction, Sakamusi Nkosi, Angamsu Nokwe, Sarah Olivia Nunn, Janine Oudendal, Eunice Olivano, Bianca Olivier, Sarah Udit, Mark Ortman with distinction, Erich Ostman, Orobind Parayachi, Shannon Parker, Daniel Parsons, Calvin Payne, Candice Pedreiro, Songezo Pepu, Lenal Pillay, Ruvania Pillay, Megan Ragaval, Limakatsu Ransu, Zenobia Rasul, Caitlin Ribal, Priyushan Reddy, Ruan Reinhardt, Donovan Reynolds, Alri Richter, Natasha Rothauge, Nicola Sankey, Tebogo Sianego, Taelo Sibi, Marilee Smalberger, Paulina Smit, Johannes Palmer, Johan Stadler, Newell Stein with distinction, Natasha Stolz, Savannah Stachbury, Karen Stiles, Constance Swanepoel, Cherie Swanepoel, Hermanus Swart, Graham Taylor, Charles Terblanche, Yaku Tron, Tamrin Thomas, Motloleng Tselapedi, Susanna Johanna Eis, Amina Vahed, Benjamin van As, Magterie van Aswegen, Philippus van Aswegen, Mirza van den Berg, Johanne van Sail with distinction, Hendrik van Sail, Louis Valesco Ramirez, Zelia Marie Verster, Jacobus Weideman, Jessica West, Alfred Woodley with distinction, Matthew Woods, Zanthi Hannah Voici, Jonathan Wright. Congratulations to all our graduates. For the DVN program, I'm going to announce the prize winners now. The best overall performance in reproductive nursing, sponsored by DIAC, and the winner is Zanekukle Gladla. The best overall performance in theatre practice, sponsored by DIAC, and the winner is Raisibe Matlaupu. The best overall performance in medical nursing, sponsored by Lanco, and the winner is Komotso Malapane. For the best overall performance in anesthesiology, sponsored by Zutis, is Duane Hubert. And for the best overall performance in radiography, sponsored by Axim, and the winner is Zanekukle Gladla. For the best overall performance in intensive care nursing, sponsored by Hills, Komotso Malapane. For the best performance in veterinary community engagement, this is sponsored by the South African Veterinary Council, and the winner is Elisma Dutoy. The award for excellence in all aspects of the diploma program, sponsored by VNASA, is Duane Hubert. Now for the top 10 students in the veterinary court practice, sponsored by the Veterinary Association, is Roden Keppel, Alfred Woodley, Tyler Mitchison, Angelique Jacobs, Lee Kairuz, Mark Ortsman, Vihanka Naidu, Janen de Velzem, Megan Gibbs, and Stephanie Lee Shu. Now for the prize winners of the BVSC program. The best overall performance in veterinary professional life, sponsored by the Veterinary Council, is Megan Gibbs. The award for the student with special interest in porcine health and production, sponsored by the South African Porcine Producers Organization, is Mark Ortman. The Arnold Tyler Memorial Medal to the student who excelled in merit and dedication throughout the veterinary degree program is Lee Karuz.
Dr. Stale, thank you for introducing the candidates and announcing the prize winners. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the virtual ceremony. I would like to congratulate the graduates and diplomats again and wish them all of the best in their future careers. I would also like to thank our sponsors for their generous contributions. Then thanks again to the Dean, Deputy Dean, Dr. Ghazi and Dr. Stale, and thanks for the messages received from the professional associations. A special word of thanks to the people behind the scenes, Mrs. Vandenberg, and everyone else that made the recording of the virtual ceremony. Thank you for your virtual attendance and watching the ceremony. Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.